All right, YouTube. What's going on? Man, I got my stream started like so late today. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have a few less people tonight. But I got good news, or maybe it's bad news. I don't know. It's like I kind of had a topic for tonight, and then I just decided that it would probably be whiny. Oh man. So instead, I'm just gonna play filler until my club meeting starts, and then I'll just like kick you guys over there so you can watch Alex from Tank Tested talk about fish photography, because he's doing a talk at my club for that digitally, because the everything that's going on currently with the human malware, it's not really safe to travel. It's going crazy all over the place. So we made our meeting digital to make everybody just feel good and safe and all those kind of nice things. And I'll put the link in early, but I'll put it up a couple times tonight. It's also in the description of the video for those who maybe saw that. But that's the stream. I think it'll only be up for a week. So if you're watching, for some reason, if you're watching this in the far distant future, then you have to be a club member to watch the replay. But I think it stays up for like a week through Greater Seattle Aquarium Society. So, and then they hide it. Cool stuff, right? Okay, so let me see. I'm gonna see if I got some time filler updates before we just like launch into question time. Which, if you have questions, guys, as usual, at Bentley Pasco, it makes it super easy for me to see it on chat. We'll mostly just kind of hang out for a little bit, and I'll try not to overflow my time too much. Let's see. Do I have anything else interesting? Oh, I'm in process of getting a replacement developer for the online horticulture program. The good news is I have a pretty promising prospect that would actually probably make its development extremely fast. So hopefully that works out. And that's through a friend. And if for some reason you're watching, you know who you are. But we'll see. I don't want to put too much on my friends, because that's just not nice. We're all busy people, and that particular friend has their own personal projects. But the thing is, one of their personal projects is actually surprisingly close functionality wise to some of the stuff that I had in mind, just for non-fish related stuff. So you basically have the ability to reuse a lot of code, so you kickstart really fast, and then it's just tweaking the rest of the modules. And I know this is probably more technical than anybody cares about, but it's tweaking some of the modules in order to handle what we're doing. The good news would be if this person is willing to do stuff, which he said he was interested, so that's good news. We would have a phone app on top of a website, and they would talk to each other. So you could easily have an app on the phone and use your phone to do a lot of this work for you. So that's like the super good news. Yeah, we'd change a couple things about it, but there's a lot of potential if my buddy is on board. If not, then like I got to go to the next couple of devs down the chain of people that I have kind of in my list that I've talked to so far, and yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping I can have like super good news within the next couple weeks and make some serious progress, because I want this thing done. I'm tired of waiting, man. Starting from square one multiple times has been quite the kick to the teeth. From Michael, how to prevent stem plants from dropping lower leaves. Good question. We'll dive into questions. Most commonly, when our stem plants are losing their lower leaves, if they're an established plant, right? So it's already converted and it's been there for a while. Let's say we've propagated these plants a couple times and we just keep noticing that all our lower leaves keep dying out after a certain period of time. What this typically means is that we're not getting enough light down to those lower leaves, and the plants are shedding those leaves because it takes too much energy to keep them healthy compared to the amount of photosynthesis that they're providing toward, right? Because the leaves' job is to absorb light and to help with the photosynthetic process. And that's a big one, right? It helps do everything a plant needs to do to be healthy, to be lush, all those kind of good things. So what plants are basically signaling to you is, I don't have enough light. I'm not going to waste all the energy to keep these things alive. I'm going to focus on all the growth that's doing the work. So there's two options. Either A, you kind of more aggressively trim your plants and keep them shorter, or B, you find a way to add more light. And that can be tough, right? That can be really tough. It can mean changing your light out. It can be adding a secondary light. There's a lot of ways that can be done. But most commonly, that's what's happening. Now, if the plant hasn't fully converted yet, it's just converting and those lower leaves are dying out. Stuff like that. But almost always, this is usually a light issue. Hope that helps. Kevin Rosenberg, trying out Pro Mode on my fluval lights after watching your videos on it. So far, loving it. Thank you. I'm glad you are. Just one thing that I will caution, and like, I know I said this in the video, but I really love to stress it, is my settings are my settings. So, some of them are really adjusted to the way that I keep things, which is different than how a lot of other people do. I run my lights a lot longer than some people do. So don't be afraid to tweak, to play. Like, if you start seeing algae issues, don't be afraid to shorten how long the lights are on for total light. Don't be afraid to play with how fast the sunrise and sunset is, or turn the intensity of the lights down a little bit. Don't be afraid to use that as a base, and then just sit there and tweak and play with it a little bit. Have some fun. Experiment. Do what I did, right? Just experiment, test it, play with it. Find what works optimally for you in your tanks, and then you're gold, right? And then share that with other people. And then you can be the new, like, fluval pro expert, right? Brian N. Thoughts on how to handle tap water with GH off the charts and almost no KH. I believe Crush Coral would help, but how would plants handle those extremes? So Crush Coral most commonly is going to buffer a lot of GH, right? It's going to add calcium and magnesium, but it will add some amount of carbon hardness. That's what Crush Coral is super common for where I'm at to buffer your water to help make your pH more stable. Because there's like nothing in our water. But when you're already like way up there, if you already have a ton of mineral content, it might almost be easier just to add a little bit of like baking soda. Or you can use calcium carbonate as well, but those are some of the easier ways to add a little bit of KH without much other stuff. So that's sodium bicarb, just in case you're curious, bicarbonate. There's some other ways you could buffer too. So Crush Coral, in theory, if your water is super hard, it shouldn't absorb too much more general hardness, but plants like soft water. You can get some plants that are better and more adept in harder waters. These are things like your Bulbituses, some of your Java ferns, anubiases. There's a strain of Vallisneria that actually naturally exists in Lake Tanganyika, so it can handle at super high pH and thus high mineral content. So there's options out there. It's just that a lot of your like finer leafed plants are probably going to struggle. So some of your Rotalas, some of your Myriophyllums and stuff like that, those are probably going to have some trouble. But broader leaf plants typically can handle that higher mineral content. It can be tough. It depends on like truly how off the chart it is, right? There's ways we can look at this with like a TDS meter and a couple other things to better gauge what we're looking at. But yeah, if you're talking like 800, TDS of GH, so like, what is that? Like 20 degrees or whatever crazy nonsense, then then it gets really tough, right? Because the water is just so hard that you might almost have to like mix your water down in water changes with RO if you're really trying to do heavy plants. Now, there are plenty of people who have successful plants in the Midwest where you have very hard water. You can look at like Primetime Aquatics, right? They've got tons of tanks. Hornwort's a big plant for them, for example, that does just fine, and they're in hard water, right? So there are options. It's just adjusting your expectations and what plants you use. If you're trying to do like super high tech crazy stuff, you're probably going to have to use RO water, remineralize it up to like 4 degrees GH and KH, so it's still relatively soft. That ends up being like about 100 to 140 TDS, and that's measured differently than just a generic TDS meter. Keep that in mind. A generic TDS meter measures everything. When I talk about GHT TDS, that's just when you get 4 degrees GH, so 4 drops, right, and it turns the correct color in a test with a liquid kit. That's telling you it's somewhere between 100 and 140 TDS of just calcium and magnesium. And similar in the carbon hardness side, measuring what carbon hardness measures, it's TDS specific to KH. So, because some tests will show you the TDS as opposed to the degrees, and the degrees is like drops in the case of liquid test kits, but most show both, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I would just adjust the plants I'm going to keep. And especially if you have local plant growers that you can rely on, then if they have plants that have adjusted and are handling similar water to yours, then you can look at those plants and they'll probably do okay. That would be my other piece of advice there. Kingfisher's Catch, a.k.a. Joe Davis, did you land on any objectives for your stream this year? Oh, man, you know, it's funny. I say this with a bit of a coy smile. I don't think I want my stream to change too much. Like, other than I love when I have good topical chats. But the only thing that I've considered is that I might have to shift my release and streaming schedule around. It really depends on some stuff. So to explain, I'm driving a bunch of like really fundamental change at my work right now. And that will, in the short term, add more work. I know. I sound like a psycho when I say that. And we're getting into a extremely important milestone for our project when it comes to our end customer. So I'm getting to a point where I'm going to be really busy Monday through Friday. And it might become almost impossible for me to get off work early enough on Tuesdays to make it home through all the traffic and do my stream. So there might be a shift in the short term where I change the day and time I stream and then like shift my video to release at a different time. I'm not sure, because right now I have like a fairly good schedule of how I release everything, and it's been working for what time I have. But ideally, there's some other potential changes on the distant horizon. You know, if things go the way I want them to. I don't want to go too deep into that, because if for some reason anybody from my work watches my stream, I don't want them to get paranoid that like I'm leaving my job or anything. But you know, there's some stuff that's on the potential horizon that might change the way I work, in the sense of how often I have to go into campus or some of that kind of stuff. And if that's the case, then you know, I have more time in a sense that I'm just not in traffic for 2 hours plus every day. And that's realistically, my commute is about an hour each way. So I lose 2 hours of every day just being in my car, traveling to and from work. And if I get that time back, right, it totally changes a lot of the things about how I do my stream, my channel, all sorts of stuff like that. And just, you know, some of my home life too. So it's, to answer directly, Joe, it's very dependent on how things shake up at my work. In the short term, there's a potential that my objectives don't change, but my schedule does. In the long term, the hope is that either A, I can keep this kind of chill in the way it is, because I really do like the mix of topical and Q&A, because I feel like if it's pure Q&A, it can get a little, it can get a little drab. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, I'm bored with that. Like, I love answering questions. I love helping people. But more than just like, it gets hard to make those streams appealing to somebody who isn't already kind of used to my channel as a whole. Whereas I feel like when they're topical, the replay still has value other than the Q&As. And I know a lot of people who are on the replay crew that are like, I get value out of all the Q&A all the time. I know, but you're the dedicated people. For new people, when there's a topic, you get people who come to the topic as if it's a video as opposed to a live stream. And they'll watch the topic, and then they may or may not stay for the Q&A. So that's where I think there's a big benefit in the way that I tend to format my streams, and I will try very hard not to go into the topic I was going to use today, which was basically complaining about someone else's stream. Without naming names. But yeah. Oh, man. Oh, God. Jacob Hill. Hey, Bentley, I got a Java fern. I think it's called Coral. I just added it a week ago to my tank and it has brown all over it. What does that mean? Tank has CO2, JCP full spectrum, tropical ferns. Okay, so there's a couple different things. If they're like really specific little spots, those can be the seeds or the spores, depending on how you want to interpret this. That's where it creates child plants. If it's got browning all over the place, it usually means it's having some issues converting from being grown immersed to living submerged, and it probably needs extra potassium. Not always, but most commonly. I would be looking for holes in the leaves if that was the case. Or 3, you might be dealing with some kind of diatom of some form that's just getting stuck. So, mulm and things like that that's getting stuck in the Java fern. So it kind of depends on whether it's the leaf itself or stuff on the leaves, or if it's only on the back of the leaf and not on the front. So if it's only on one side and you see like little dots, those are probably the seeds, and that's fine, that's healthy. If it's through the leaf and holes and the leaf is decaying in some way, shape, or form, then we're dealing with either issues where it's struggling to convert, or it's shedding its old growth and trying to concentrate all its energy on new growth. And that could be a nutrient deficiency at the same time, so it could be a combo of things. And pictures help a ton there, but feel free to shoot me an email, bentley.pasco@gmail.com. I'm like a week behind right now. I'm trying to catch up. I know I got a couple people that are a little bit more than that, but like I said, work's been busy, and I'm driving a change that will add more work to my schedule because I'm insane, but that's for the short term. In the long term, it will be extremely good for my entire project. At least I believe so, which is why I'm trying to drive it. But, in the short term, it adds a little bit extra work and stress on my plate. But as I've kind of joked with my lady several times, my job is literally to get paid to just like deal with stress and manage stuff. That's my job nowadays. Trevor Grigori just finished a battle with hair algae, but my anubias have some leaves that seem to be struggling and no new growth. Should I trim them all? Way back and start over. So I wouldn't trim them all. I would try to leave the ones that look like they're struggling the least. And maybe that's, the newest, or the ones that don't have as much, if they have any kind of dust algae on them. Leave a few just so that they're gaining some light. But what I would do is take your oldest growth and trim that off. And try to trigger it to get some new growth. The other thing you can do is just run some tests, look at your nitrate levels, and see if maybe some of your other plants are keeping the nitrates so low that the anubias, as a low demand plant, is struggling to get some of the extra water column fertilization that it needs in order to continually have that nice healthy growth. Those would be the two things I would do. Chad jumped. Oh man, the water box is here. Sean, what's up, buddy? It's good to see you. Good to see you, sir. I have to go catch up on your channel. It's been like a month since I dug into your channel for a bit. There's certain people who I'll binge your channel for like a week. you know? Like, it's like I'll play catch up, and it's like a rotation in every few months. I go through, and then I'll like binge a bunch of videos from a channel, and then every once in a while, especially some people like, oh dude, Chung, you're the best, man. Thanks, man. I'll do my best to keep up the good work. Although I think it's mediocre work. I could do a lot better. I need to not be in traffic for 2 hours a day. That would probably help. Oh man. But yeah, that's, you know, my YouTube. There's like a couple channels at a time that I watch religiously. Like anytime they put something out, I watch it. And then a lot of the other channels I watch them in bursts. So like I'll not watch. We'll just say like Tank Tested for just because he's speaking in my club. So I'm gonna pick on Alex. I'll not watch his channel for like 3 months, and then I'll be like, man, I haven't watched anything from Tank Tested in a while, and I'll just like blitz their channel. And it'd just be on in the background while I'm at work. And I'll go through like a month and a half of their content. And if they're really like, if I'm really vibing on whatever they're presenting, I'll catch up on almost everything in a week. And I'll ignore like every other channel that I'm behind on. It's the way I consume YouTube is so insane. E littles. From time to time, my buzzmani will injure their lips. Yep. Is there a way that I can verify that this is an injury and not a fungal issue? When should I think about treating? Okay, great question. So let me explain what you're dealing with, because I see this all the time. Male buzzmani, especially, and male rainbow fish in general, they're dumb. They're real dumb. They're beautiful, but they're dumb. And when they're courting females or sparring with each other, they get so caught up in that, right? In like battleship side by side with each other and spinning around and chasing and all this stuff, that they really don't pay attention to their surroundings at all. And they will bang into rock, wood, glass, acrylic, whatever it may be, and almost always it's lips first. And sometimes like they'll just get so aggressive when they're trying to eat that they're bang their mouth on the lid of your tank and stuff like that, right? This is super normal. Now, what I usually do if I'm seeing this widespread, if I see one or two that have that, I know that's what it's from. If I start seeing that on the females, that's when I start to worry. And typically the first thing I'll do is I do this super low dose of salt that I call like the not even a medicinal dose. And typically what I do for that is 1 tablespoon for every 20 gallons of water. That's like nothing. But all the little micro minerals, and I like a good marine or reef salt. I specifically use like, just because this is the last time I bought a big thing, but a good marine or reef salt. I have it's like Red Sea Reef Pro or something like that. Whatever, it doesn't really matter that much. But the reason why I use those is they have a lot of extra minerals and stuff in them. A lot of our micronutrients that are great for our plants. It's just, it puts a little extra mineral content, a little extra good mojo in the water for those rainbow fish, and helps them heal that stuff up. If you're seeing this on the females, that's when you need to start worrying about some kind of bacterial or fungal issue. If you're only seeing it on the boys, they're just being dumb and hurting themselves trying to show off. And if it's just a little nick, it'll heal. They do it all the time. They're dumb boys. You know, it's like when boys are going through puberty and like they're doing everything they can to impress girls because they finally decided they don't exactly know why, but all of a sudden girls don't have cooties anymore and girls are kind of interesting. And they do dumb stuff on the playground and they get hurt. You know, you scrape up your elbow, you scrape up your knee because you're being stupid. That's all it is. It's that. That's all they're doing. They're being dumb. They do that. They're rainbows. But watch the females. Pay attention to your females, and if you start seeing injuries on the females or something going on in the females, that's when we start looking at, okay, we might need to treat something. Or if like all the boys have damaged their lips, that tiny dose of salt is just enough to help kind of accelerate that healing process. And usually if they've all injured themselves, they chill out for a little bit. But not always. I've had plenty of times where like my biggest boys in my retirement tank, as I call it now, they would spar every day no matter what. I got an owie on my lip. I don't care. I'm getting out there. I'm going to show that I'm the biggest, most beautiful man in this tank, and all the ladies should love me, even if they're not paying attention. Because a lot of times you'll watch them and they're like, I'm getting out of here, man. These guys are idiots. That's part of the thing I love about rainbow fish. Is like sometimes you can tell the females are just like, I do not want to participate, and go the other direction of the boys. Don't even pay attention. They just keep going and doing their thing because they're dumb and beautiful. Bob Purcell, will easy carbon hurt anubias? Not in my experience has any of the liquid carbons hurt anubias. Had Pinto shed all its leaves, trying to figure out why. If you had no monetary or technology limitations, what product would you develop for tanks? Oh, geez, two-part question. Bob, you're killing me. So most likely, in the case of the Pinto, so Pinto's a little more finicky, and Pinto could be a little whiny, but I've used liquid carbon before with Pinto and not had it lose leaves. So in my experience, that shouldn't be the issue. We should be looking at something more light or nutrient related. Or potentially CO2 if for some reason it's not getting enough like actual CO2 as opposed to liquid carbon sources, because it really can be kind of a carbon hog, especially if it came out of a carbon-rich environment. If I had no monetary or technological limitations, what product would I develop for a tank? Ooh. You know, like, there's part of me that thinks I would design, because I actually don't think it's as much of a technological limitation as a lot of people think, but there has to be, with the right people, there has to be a better version of the Apex controller. Because they're big, they're chunky, they do a lot of stuff, they're way overcosted. Then there was the company that was trying to do the Felix, and I have no faith that that's going to do anything near what it's promised to eventually do, just because as someone who's worked in machine learning, and based on what they have told me and then kind of never put up, I have to assume they have to shut up, and they can't pull off what they want to pull off. But that being said, I really haven't looked into the product for a while, because it got released and it was a insanely overcosted box that is basically just a Wi-Fi controller for way too much money. And my instinct would say, like, you probably want to redesign that, right, Bentley? You're into automation, you do test stuff, and you understand all these things. And my instinct says that's probably a thing that could have the most effect. But realistically, what I would really, really want to do is make... I say this only because I have grand designs in my head, and I kind of have this as something I've wanted to do if the things go right in some development stuff. I want an easy-to-control mobile device application that allows you, with a inexpensive piece of equipment, to monitor any of your tank parameters real time, anytime. Not cameras, not watch your fish, nothing crazy like that like Felix was trying to do. Simple probes, because there's lots of probes out there that are not horrifically expensive, that give you real-time data on your temperature, your GH, your KH, your pH, nitrate, ammonia, nitrite, all those kind of things in real time. That also, here's where the kicker comes in, can connect to calendar and reminder things to remind you, based on sensor data, that you need to clean your filter because your flow's gone down. That you should do a water change because your overall parameters have shifted this much, and it can tell that the water level in your tank has gone down or not. right? So these kind of things, like, I think that part of automation is more realistic than the, like, I've got this crazy controller with 800 box things that do this and that, and it costs you $7,000. You should be able to do this kind of stuff for like $50 to $100 worth of probes, tops, and that's when you're tracking a lot of stuff. The parts to do this stuff are not expensive. It's all the harnessing and stuff that they really overcost you on, and that's the part that drives me insane as someone who works in tech and watches some of this stuff. I'm just like, if I were more DIY friendly when it came to building my own electronics, I could build this stuff way cheaper. So there has to be a way to design a commercial grade product that doesn't cost people as much as a freaking Apex controller or the Felix or any of those things, but does it easily and simply to where it can go straight to your phone, straight to your tablet, your home computer, whatever you want to log into, your Apple Watch, so you can easily check those things or get alerted if something goes wrong. Because then you could easily have something where it's like, I wake up in the morning, I'm on vacation, I can open my app, I can look at all my tanks, everything looks good, and I can see that I've got feeders scheduled. If I have auto feeders, right, I can just have this scheduled easily, built into my phone, so that I know if I go on a long vacation, everything's taken care of. Easy peasy. That would be what I would look into doing. To be fair, there's a lot of development work to make that happen. And then building the commercial product that would tie into all that stuff is a lot of development work. And making it robust enough to last long and not cost you $8 billion is the tough part, right? Now, a lot of that comes down to most companies are out there to make a lot of money. So it takes somebody who's like happy not making a lot of money and doing something right. That's tough. That's real tough. Because it's like the antithesis of most business. Some businesses do that, but not many. Not many. Ooh. Sohan Warusha. God, I probably pronounced some of that wrong. I have 2 Glossolepis pseudo-incisus, so that's the Millennium Rainbow fish, beautiful red rainbow, that have great color 24/7. Are there any other rainbow species who display great color all the time? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm thinking about adding a couple of Glossolepis wanamensis. Do they display color throughout the day? Yes. Wanamensis will show color all day. And similar to the pseudo-incisus, their female is kind of a different color. The difference is wanamensis and pseudo-incisus, if you have females, you might be keeping an all-male tank. The pseudo-incisus females are kind of a brassy gold color, where the wanamensis females are this like silvery green color. So you'll be able to tell the difference between the females if you happen to be doing that. So if you ever decide to breed them and move fish to a different tank, it's actually easy to track the females in that case. Other fish that are really good for showing color constantly. Melanitania kamaka, which is kind of a powdery blue color. They're beautiful. They have that color both male and female all day long. Melanitania lacustris, the turquoise rainbow, both male and female, have the same color basically put all day long. Not so much in females, although they have a little bit, but in the males, the Melanitania Herbert axelrodi, so the yellow rainbow fish, they get big, they're beautiful, they're bright yellow all day long. Fish that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that shows color basically all day. Good Blaheri will show a good amount of color all day, although there is like a even more intense color, but they will show some reasonable color all day. And Chilatherina Eleni Pogo, when they get to adult size, will show color all day. The females don't show a lot of color, but the males certainly do. But your best bet are going to be turquoise rainbows, yellow rainbows. Wanamensis is a great choice. Those are the ones who will show you color all day long, and then kind of if you're looking for something a little outside, not quite a bright natural color, but more of a powdery blue color, Praecox also will do this, but the Kamaka rainbow fish is a great one to go with those kind of fish. All great all-day color rainbows, and I love them all. I love them all. Do, 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 do. Oh, chat. Trying to catch up. That's the problem. I talk too much. Then the chat jumps on me and I gotta find out where I was. Leo 209 Aquatics. Hey y'all, hey Bentley, need an idea for an Aquatop Pisces 5-gallon bullet tank, substrate wise and plant wise. Echo Complete, Fluval Stratum, Brightwell Rio Oscuro. Those are all decent substrates that aren't horrifically expensive. And plant wise, it really depends on what you're looking for. Because it's such a small tank, I would do something simple like Crypts, or just like let one dwarf aquarium lily get huge and look amazing in that tank. If you do that route, I wouldn't get any of the heavy aqua soil, so I wouldn't do like Amazonia or Rio Oscuro or anything like that. You don't need anything that crazy. You would be fine with just like Fluorite Red would actually be good. You could do Echo Complete or the Echo Complete Red. Are both fine. They're not terribly expensive. You don't need a really crazy substrate if you're doing a plant like that. You could also do a very simple sand or gravel and use epiphyte plants. So something like a nice Java fern that's attached to wood or rock, preferably wood in the case of Java fern, because it just does better on wood. And let that take up your tank, because it will take over part of a 5-gallon pretty fast, but still leave you a little bit of swim space for some small fish or shrimp. But I wouldn't try to go too crazy on the fish in a 5-gallon. You know, just play it safe. Supreme Gecko. What a great name. Bentley just started watching your videos this week. Great info. Thanks for the content. Thank you for watching. I'm happy you enjoy what I do and my little slice of crazy. Fellow club member Alyssa Bentley. Speaking of hair algae, I just added some more wood to a tank that is covered in green hair algae. How long do you think it will take before the new wood is sporting a dew? It depends. I've noticed like that shorter, almost grass-like hair algae, if you can get that stuff going, it takes forever to propagate over. But just like generic hair algae, pretty quick. Pretty quick. Give it a couple weeks, you'll be fine. Chung's on the same like binge style of watching YouTube as I am. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, dude, I gotta catch up on you. It's been a bit. You always make some great stuff. Like you have a couple of your videos are some of my favorite ones to suggest to people. When it comes to like, so your dirted tank video is the way to set up a dirted tank. 9 times out of 10, when anybody asks me like how to do a dirted tank, I'm just like, just watch this video. just watch Chung. He'll tell you everything you need to know. You don't need my information. It's because that video is so good, and it's also short and to the point. Like we know I talk too much, so me doing a dirted tank video would be like 35 minutes. Chung's is like 9 minutes. It's perfect. It's like because we all know that I don't understand what a script or being edited is. Paul Sotero, rainbow fish or a sack of rocks? Who's smarter? Depends on the rock. Depends on the rock. I'm going to give it to Ceru Stone. That stuff is definitely smarter than the rainbow fish. Oh, man. Doot. Oh, no. Hoon Aquatics, did somebody say dumb and beautiful? Yes, sir. I was talking about our favorite kinds of fish. Dumb and beautiful. Oh, man. Little reminder, I'm just filling time until, bam, that goes live. That is going to be Alex Wenschel, a.k.a. Tank Tested himself, will be speaking at my club, and you can watch it on YouTube because it's a virtual meeting, so he's talking about the intricacies of aquarium photography. That's a way too fancy a name for somebody like me. You guys saw my talk. It was named like how to not be a dum-dum with plants. Is basically it was like from as I called it more colloquially, from chump to champ. But yeah, Alex is far more intricate than me, so I think that'll be fun because like I'm very curious to see what he has to say. Oh, Kevin Rosenberg, another great question. What's your favorite water conditioner besides Prime? Prime actually isn't my favorite water conditioner. So my favorite water conditioner is what? It's technically in the U.S. It's under Aquarium Solutions is the brand, but that's made by Hikari, and that's Ultimate as far as a liquid is concerned. I also kind of like the Fritz stuff, although I've had some issues with the pump head that's on the Fritz, in that like it gets clogged up kind of easy. I personally use Seachem Safe, the powdered stuff. So, you know, I buy one jug every 2 decades, and it lasts forever. I like the economy of the powder because it just lasts me forever, and it's really simple to speed dose in mass once you get like the little teeny tiny spoons. Which somebody like totally busted me in comments when I did the video ranting about some of the Seachem stuff that I did my math wrong. And yeah, I was trying to do it off the top of my head to remember, not like looking at my like actual chart of what fits what. What do you want from me? I try to do math quickly on the fly as opposed to like sitting and thinking about it for the half second I should have. Bravehearts 1986. Hey, Bentley, how did you do in your fantasy football league? I would like you to know that human malware crushed all before its path. And as it is doing in real life, it took over. And got very, very fortunate. I had 2 amazing performances from Amon-Ra St. Brown and Rashad Penny, who put me over the top by like 3 total points in my fantasy Super Bowl. But before then, they were just like crushing souls for the last few weeks, point-wise. And I beat one opponent in, I think it was the first round of the playoffs, something like 145 to like 80. It was not nice at all. But the team I played against was the technically the number 1 ranked team going into the Super Bowl. And I think we both scored over 140 points. We scored a ton. So, it was good. It was kind of a nail biter. But at the same time, looking forward to next season because I'll probably build a league or 2. One probably with a bunch of some other fish family type people who are all football fans that I know we've joked about putting a league together, and I'm just going to make it happen. And then I might do one for the few people who are into fantasy football inside my channel, inside my community. We'll make like a small league or 2 and just have some fun. For those of you who like football and pray to the religion of the pigskin like I do every Sunday, where you scream at your television for 3 hours over things that you can't possibly affect, but that's what you do because you're a crazy person. Leo 209 Aquatics. What do you think of Tropica substrate? I mean, it's very... So Tropica, Aquavitro, UNS Contra Soil, they're all roughly equivalent. All of those... The only one that's slightly different is the Brightwell, and that's just because it, unlike basically every other one of those clay ball substrates, does not do ammonia leaching, which is really nice. So you can like add fish in theory same day, or add extra substrate same day without the risk of having an ammonia spike. And like ADA is the absolute worst at that, but they have that on purpose because it helps you cycle your aquarium early without having any wildlife in it, just plants and the substrate can cycle your aquarium, and you do lots of water changes, and that's their thing. But basically, all of those are so similar in the grand scheme of things that you can basically assume that Tropica equals this, equals that, equals this, and the differences between them are extremely minimal. They're all very good substrates. They're all very good. What's your favorite betta? An active one. As far as species is concerned, I really like the macrostoma just for the way they look and being a mouth brooding betta. I also really like the Mahachiensis. I know that Alyssa breeds these, and we were actually talking about them recently. And it's just it's a bluefish. I love bluefish in general. They like a little bit harder water, if I remember correctly, and that goes great because they're peaceful. They can live in groups. They like harder water. All these things can like vibe with rainbows, other than they're a little shy. So rainbows are gonna like be the bullets going to food, and it might be harder to feed the bettas, but that's easy to fix, right? If you just know what you're doing. And then finally, just my biggest thing with any of your betta splendens, right? Your common bettas and all those crazy patterns and all that stuff. I love they started changing the name because like mustard gas is not necessarily like a nice name, but I love the mustard gas betta look. And then there's also like the black orchid, which is like black, but it has that almost oil slick iridescence to its body. So you've got the blue with the yellow finage, and like the black with like the oil slick iridescence, where you see all sorts of colors and stuff, like you would like oil over water, right? Those are the two kind of more common like betta splendid style bettas that I really like. But really, like, just a good active betta who like pays attention and interacts with you, that's gonna have my heart all the time, because that's the part of bettas that I love the most, is when they're interested and they're interactive and that kind of stuff. Like, that's what makes bettas fun for me, when you can like almost get them to like come out and come hang out and check you out and be interested in what you're doing. That's where I like bettas. But then again, I keep rainbow fish, which are like, they just beg for food, and otherwise they're kind of dumb. But man, are they pretty. Man, are they pretty. Oh, Lord. Catching. Oh, I'm getting close to catching up. What's up, chat? E-littles. I have 12 bows, and they're the same age, to the best of my knowledge. My largest is twice as big as my smallest now. They didn't start that way. Should I separate some or feed more? I mean, if you have the spare tank to like separate some of the smaller ones apart from the bigger ones and help them get extra food, because they're always going to compete, right? But if it helps them get extra food and get that size on them, so they're going to do better overall. But usually they do okay together. I'm really trying to figure out what some of these like random. I don't know. We're just gonna put. You got some like random stuff going on in chat. I don't know what this nonsense is, but it's like nonsensical names putting all this like random stuff in chat. I don't know what this is, but you're getting the timeout. Very curious to know what the heck that's about. Jacob Hill, to answer you, my email is very simple. It's my name, bentley.pasco@gmail.com, but I'll put it in chat for you. Yeah, feel free to shoot me an email with a couple pictures. I'll try to help you out. I will try to check you out. The water box. How's your channel doing? I think it's doing okay. I actually talked about a bunch of my metrics back in around Thanksgiving time. I did a short video talking about some of my metrics. And is the grind driving you nuts yet? No, I think the only thing that the thing that gets to me about the whole YouTube thing is my work schedule makes it hard to do the things I want to do. So I'm more frustrated that I don't have the amount of time to necessarily film and edit to the level I want to be doing. But as far as making videos and figuring stuff out, no, that doesn't bother me. You get your occasional jerk that shows up in whether it's chat or comments and whatever. For every one jerk, there's 200 awesome people. That can't possibly get to me. And maybe that's just because I'm such an inherent optimist as a human being that I don't look for the negative stuff, right? When I find the negative stuff, usually I'm like, okay, what's this jerk have to say? Okay, you're funny. I guess a guy left a bunch of comments on my Prime video, and one of the comments he left, and I spent I think half an hour just laughing about this, staring at the tank that I filmed in front of. This should show you the way that I look at things. And his comment was something along the lines of, no one should even listen to this guy. He uses sand in his tank. There's a video of me putting that tank together where I layer I do the lasagna method using Fluval Stratum and Echo Complete. Which of these is sand? And I read that and I was like, huh? I only have 2 tanks with sand in my whole house, and I hate both of them, but they're just there to basically hold fish. They're not really planted. Although right now they're holding some plants, which is kind of interesting, but they're not planted tanks. This whole guy's like, he had like 6 comments on the same video because he's very clearly like a Seachem Flourish fanboy or something. I don't know. Maybe that's just what he uses. I don't like. He's looking for anything he can to discredit. And I'm just reading all the comments. I'm sitting there laughing. I'm like, man, dude, you all right? You love your thing. I even say in my video, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you like what you get out of Flourish, keep using it by all means. I'm just saying from a like customer perspective, they could do better. And I just sat and I laughed at it. It's just like, because I get maybe one of those like every couple months. And every time I do, I don't know, it humors me more than I ever like feel the need to like fight back or be like, this son of a, right? I'm just like, I just kind of like look at him like, oh, you poor soul. Like, maybe that's just because like I get to enjoy a lot of fun, but yeah, I mean, YouTube's a grind for a lot of people. Whatever. I still have fun doing this stuff. That's what matters to me. I like babbling about fish. The only real grind is my work schedule making it hard to do the things I actually want to do, or like having to. Sometimes I just get so busy where I'm like, okay, I don't have the time to film the thing I wanted to do. What thing can I quickly film to replace that? And hopefully next weekend I can film the thing I actually wanted to do. That can be a little like grating in the sense of I'm not getting to do what I want to do. But it has nothing to do with like viewership or channel revenue. I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, I have a decent career. I don't need that stuff. That's the part I'm not worried about at all. Oh, man. But I'm a weirdo. I think I've established that a few times. I am a weirdo. Catch up into this joint. Alyssa Bentley, there's a big interactive female betta at the co-op right now living with some kind of red fish who I was sorely tempted by today. No tag for her, though. I get tempted by the concept of the betta sorority, and then I just look at how many times it just, like, miserably fails, even by the people who, like, put out videos of, like, how to do it right. And, and then I get, like, disheartened, because I would love to see the female betta sorority be beautiful and work. But, was it 9 times out of 10 it turns into a horror story? That's the part that makes me sad about it. So then I just do rainbows, because they're big and colorful and dumb as can be. Oh, man. I'm a simple human being. I know what I like, and I stick to it without any worry in the world. Leo209 Aquatics, what do you think of the wild-type bettas? Well, I named 2 of them as some of my favorites. Or the Nemo or Galaxy betta. Are those the common? Well, I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I mean, Nemos technically are a Betta splendens variety, right? Nemos come from Koi placat genetics initially. It's just getting more and more color into them. I don't know the Galaxy betta off the top of my head, which one that is. I'm not like a super betta nerd. Should be noted. I'm a rainbow fish nerd. I'm a big rainbow fish nerd. Kind of everything else, I'm like, I know a little bit. But yeah, bettas are cool. They've been around forever. I'm so used to like when the only betta you used to get was just a veil tail, and it was either red or blue or red and blue. That was my childhood. Like, I had a bunch of bettas when I was a kid. I remember I had this, I think it was like a 20-gallon tank with dividers in it. And, we had a number of bettas. We had one betta who would jump 4 dividers over, beat up one betta, and then go back. And he would never do anything lethal. He just, like, for some reason, jump over, now you're all right. Jump over, now you're all right. Jump over, you. And, like, fight that one betta for a little bit because you're such a jerk and then go back. So crazy. It just... And I think they were similarly colored is probably what it comes down to, but it was just one of those things where it's like, why does this jerk keep doing this? So eventually we had to, like, fashion a little lid to keep him in his place so he couldn't do that nonsense. The water box. Totally understand that, holding a 40-hour job and running 2 to 3 channels. Yeah, man, you're going a little crazier than I am. I run a channel poorly, but I also work like 50 to 60 hours a week. So, you know, and I'm about to go back in the phase where I will almost reliably be like at work 6 a.m. till 7 p.m. 5 days a week. That's coming. That's coming back. I know I'm coming close to the big grind, but that's a big milestone at work, and it'll be, if I do the things I'm supposed to do right, I will have very officially put my stamp on this product and can feel very good about myself in the long run. From a perspective of a professional tester, that always feels nice. Always feels nice. Chance Larson, one of the winners from the Christmas giveaway, just ordered some Pogo Stamen Octopus from the Aquarium Co-op. The gift card came in handy. Thanks again. Any tips for Pogo? A lot of nitrates. That's a super hungry plant. Just because it's such an aggressive grower, but a tiny amount of flow goes a long way. Because it'll help give you those nice, like, long, whippy leaves at the top that everybody likes and why people love Pogo Stamen Octopus. Other than that, just give it good space. About medium light is really all it needs. It doesn't need a ton of light. It can handle a lot more, but medium's really all about you need. And just reasonable fertilization. Even in low-tech, you know, fertilize. If you have, like, if you're using Easy Green and it says, you know, low light once a week, medium light twice a week, do the twice a week. The Pogo Stamen will handle it. Trust me. That stuff grows like crazy. But it is beautiful. It is beautiful. Lisa's. Oh, and then chat jumped on me. Come on, I'm trying to read this comment. YouTube, help me. Lisa's tanked. Bentley, what is a good number of large rainbow fish in a 125? I love them all and need to know my limits. How much filtration and water changing are we doing? Because we could go real crazy. It depends on the size. Like, if you're doing mostly the kind of 4 to 5 inch range, so like your Goiter River, your Ayumaru buzzmani, your turquoise, some of the bigger boys, right? The guys that will get some good size. You'd be all right with like 20, 25. Seriously, you can have a good sized group. I at one point had, I think, close to 50 rainbows in my 135, which is a weird size, I know, but it basically holds about the same dimensions as most 125s. It's just a little bit deeper. But you can do amount, just, you know, have good filtration. And in my case, like, I had an FX6, a ton of plants, and was doing a 50% water change once a week. And handled them no problem. But I think, you know, somewhere between 20 and 25, try to keep your ratio of male to female if you want to see best behavior and color. At least one female to every male. And if you can, try to do like 2 males, 3 females per 5 fish. So if you're, let's say you want, like, I'm going to get a small group of buzzmani, I'm going to get a small group of this and a small group of that. Try to get 2 males and 3 females in those groups. You don't have to always perfectly do that. You could have like 3 females for this fish and only 2 females for that fish or whatever. But that helps spread out the males when they're doing all their courting and all that kind of stuff to make sure that they're not picking on 1 or 2 females too much. It spreads out all that attention that they do because they're crazy, crazy boys. They're basically like, you know, teenagers at all times. And that helps alleviate some of the stress of 1 female or 2 females getting chased way too much. If you do an all-male group, you don't have to worry about that. And then you can just kind of pick and choose. You can have 1 of this and 1 of that and 2 of this. And this is the one I like the most, so I got 5 of those guys. Or maybe you just do all the same species. And if you do male and female on that, oh, man. When you get that number of fish, the behavior is different. The way that they school is different. The way they interact is different. They hold certain territories different. It's incredible. And it's super, super fun. But with all that being said, my club's meeting, normally I would give Dr. Black some love. I'm sorry, Dr. Black, but today, Tank Testing is speaking at my club, and they're doing it live on YouTube. The meeting has started, but his talk probably won't start for about 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to wrap up pretty quick here. I'm going to try and catch one more question, maybe? And, oh, dude, Chung, at some point, I gotta shoot you an email, because I might have to, have a conversation with you, sir. Especially if you're going to any particular conventions this upcoming year, my good friend. We need to sit down, have a chat, my buddy. And I'll shoot you an email. But yeah, let's see here. Leo209, so can I do a small group of rainbows in that tank? No! Hey, 5 gallons? No, you can't do any. You can't do that. No. Don't do rainbows in that. Just don't. Save yourself the pain and the misery. Mike Fang, this will probably be my last question for the night, guys. What are your thoughts, opinions, experiences with an anoxic filtration and plenum setup? Experience, 0. Thoughts, interesting concept. I worry that it will not work with high required plants. So like things that need CO2 and have higher light requirements. I'm not necessarily certain that something like the anoxic filtration setup and the way that it's designed by Dr. Novak will work perfectly. But I just need to be able to see it in practice. Because I've seen plenty of really nice, like, medium tech tanks running an anoxic system, and they look beautiful, right? And I think there's some interesting stuff there. I think the science and concepts behind it are very, very interesting. I just haven't personally experimented with it because I don't have the room. I do this in quotation marks. I have room if I tear down an entire tank and do something else, but I don't want to do that. I like all my tanks right now to test that out. So that's mine. But I will be doing one in the future whenever I can like build a proper fish room and not like the nonsense that I have going on right now. Okay, one last super chat. NAP Aquatics or Nap Aquatics. Maybe you're sleepy. Hail Lord Bentley. Oh God, don't inflate my ego any more than it already is. Do you have a Discord? I have a Discord specifically for my members. Members get access to the Discord if they are at the Pseudomcgill level or higher. And you only have to be a member for 1 month, and you have permanent access, because I don't monitor it that hard. But it's basically like the bat phone to me, because I pay a lot of attention to it. Although I just got a new phone, so I need to like reset up my Discord on my new phone. Ooh, Chung's moving to Anoxic on all sorts of stuff. Now me and Chung really have to talk, because I want to see what your experience will be. But anyway, thinking of a pair of a Pistogramma Hongsloi, beautiful fish. The 3 super reds. Ooh, see, you're getting way too fancy for me. Or Agassiz double red. Which would you do? Personally, I've had regular Hongsloi in the past. I just had some old males, but they're just such beautiful fish. And they're a little different than the standard Agassiz that would inherently interest me. However, if your goal is to breed them, it's a little easier to breed the Agassiz. So if you want to breed them and you want to have success, it's a little easier to do it with the Agassiz. But you're in a 45-gallon tall. You could potentially, as Paul Saltero is saying, have multiple pairs in the tank that size, and the Hongsloi are naturally a little less aggressive than the Agassiz. So that might influence your choice. I know a guy who's a big Apisto guy. That's going to be my buddy Jason over at Redfish Bluefish. So you might ring him up. I know you're in Canada, so you can't necessarily buy fish from him, but you might just shoot him a little mail and ask him a question, because he's got a lot of experience with a lot of these fish, and he might be able to guide you a little bit better than I can. I've owned mostly like old boys. I just keep them because I think they're colorful and fun. I've been terrible at breeding any micro cichlids of any form. But yeah. How many pairs are we talking? It super depends. I would say the safe to give them lots of room so they don't fight with each other when they have fish, I would try to go for like 2 pairs. But by doing that, you might buy 3 pairs worth of fish, let them pair up, and then take that 3rd pair and move them to their own tank, or give them to a friend or whatever, right? So you have a backup, the CYA program. Cover your But I would say safe, probably 2 pairs when it comes to that in that size tank. That way they got reasonable room for territory, give them lots of plants and line of sight blockers, give them their own kind of huts or things like that, so that they can establish their own territories and they're less likely to fight with each other. But Hong Slowai, again, a little more peaceful, a little less aggressive than an Agassizi. Agassizi, it would only have 1 pair even in that size tank. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much, Dr. Black, being a better YouTuber than me. If you can, please hit the like button. It helps the magic YouTube algorithms, but we're at the end of the stream, so it really doesn't do much, right? Other than tells me you appreciate my crazy rambling butt. Last call on this bad boy. Bam! Alex Winchell, tank tested himself, will be talking about the intricacies of aquarium photography for the Greater Seattle Aquarium Society digitally for free on YouTube. Just follow that link. Everybody, have a fantastic night. As always, thank you so much for watching. And stay awesome.